Ladies and gentlemen, for our Fireside chat, our second keynote, it is with great pleasure that I welcome the moderator of that session, a reporter for Big Cabal Media. Please put your hands together for Ngozi Chukwu. All right. And she's going to be interviewing the co-founder and CMO of Piggytech, Joshua Chibueze. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Thank you very much. This session is titled Marketing for Startups. You're going to find out if all the things that you have been doing, if you should be doing it, why it's not working, and what you can do to remedy that situation. We're so lucky to have you here. Thank you so much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please put our hands together for these wonderful people. Thank you very much.
Hi. Hello. So before I start asking Josh questions, I want to ask you guys a few questions. How many of you here use Piggyvest? Put your hands up, please. Okay. How many of you here have opened an account for a friend or a family on Piggyvest? Yes, I see more hands. How many of you have tweeted about how you love Piggyvest, how it's the best thing that's happened to you? Great. So you're all fans of Piggyvest, or most of you, right? Right? So that leads me to my first question to you, Josh, right? How does a company, like it's very, very few companies that manage to turn customers into fans. So I want to know, was it like a deliberate thing? Did you guys plan to become like the most loved fintech in Africa? Like, did you plan to have fans in your customers, and how did you do that?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm happy to be here. Permit me to just congratulate Peace. Peace is my headline. Sorry, I said headline. She's my head of online marketing at Piggytech. And she has been with us for over 4 years. And I'm proud that she's able to bring everyone here. So this is like a proud moment for me. So well done, Peace. So to your question, did we plan to have loyal people? So no. Yes and no. We're very deliberate about a lot of things, especially focusing on the customer, making sure we understand what the real pain point was, and addressing that. I think it was also interesting that we were users, right? So we're building the kind of products we wanted to be happy with ourselves. There was no strategy from the beginning to say, oh, we're trying to be like the most loved startup. It was just all focused on building a product that people would benefit from, making sure not just the product, making sure the service was on par with what they expected. So the real problem with, I'll say banking generally, or financial services, a lot of young people had issues with, reaching out to their banks to sort out issues. No one wants to go to a bank branch for anything again. Everyone wants their issues resolved very, very quickly. So one of the things we did earlier on was invest in customer service. I think that's the only deliberate thing that we did. So make sure that not just the product being good, the service was also great. And I think that's something we try to remain very consistent with, even as we continue to grow our number of users. We invested very heavily in social media customer service, for instance. That's not something that was very, very commonplace. But the fact that you could have an issue and send a DM and your issue is resolved within an hour or 30 minutes, I think that sort of increased the amount of trust or confidence our users loved. So they love the fact that if they have an issue, they can reach out and it gets solved. They love the fact that they use the products for the things that they want. And again, maybe we got lucky because, you can literally use Piggyvest for a lot of things in your life. Whether you're saving for a car or you're saving your house rent, if you're able to pay for your house rent with a particular product, I think you will be very, very happy with that product, consistently. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember seeing several tweets from like several users who have said, "Oh, Piggyvest keeps removing my car money, and now I bought a car," and they're all really happy. Speaking about social media, I read about how you guys started, and I learned that in the very early days, Odun often handled social media, posts and responses. Like, can you tell us how your social media team was structured in the early days and how that has changed over time? Now that you're a big company that has subsidiaries under you.
So very, very interesting transition. Initially, we were very few. We did the work ourselves. Odun would put out tweets from time to time. I remember her famous "There's rice at home" tweet. So that took us by for a bit. But over time, we've had very interesting people handle that social media, right? I think we had Alex. Alex worked with us for a while, about 4 years or so, before she went to Canada. And Alex, I think Peace was under Alex at the time. So Peace was the one understudying Alex. So when Alex went, we were going to replace Alex with some other person, but we're like, okay, Peace can step up and do it. And we just left it for her. And I think she's been able to create some sort of system that works. She's a very curious person. She is also a very proud person. So when things are not working, she's feeling some type of way. So she's always pushing everybody, make sure this thing is working. And I love that because that's the kind of person I am. So it was very easy for her to create that structure. That structure has evolved over time. Before it was just her, and then she had to hire assistants. But now, as head of online marketing, I think she has about 5, 6 people under her. There is the head of offline marketing. There is a content marketing department. There's digital marketing, and there's customer success.
So, can I know, do you guys have some marketing playbook already, like within the company, or do you just go with the flow?
So I was just answering this question before. It's a mix of both, because you could literally plan to put out a post today. You've planned out everything, artwork is set, and there's just some nonsense happening on the timeline. And you cannot put out what you planned out to put because you'll come off as insensitive. There's really no playbook, really. I think right now is when we're starting to even do like a 360 marketing approach. Initially, it was more of organic. We started out as organic. We did a lot of product marketing. So a lot of things that helped us in the beginning was incentivizing people to tell their friends about the product. The whole community thing where everyone was withdrawing their monies at the end of every quarter, which meant that when they get all the money, they are able to tell their friends that they saved and they got their money back. And then a lot of them are coming back to say thank you. So all of those things actually helped. And then we do a lot of campaigns, right? Brand campaigns, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Valentine's Day, whether it's summer, whether we're trying to encourage people to save for 3 months, But I think for the first 5 years, it was more of online, online, online. Again, we didn't have a lot of money to explore other forms of marketing. But when it became important for us to do that, we tried out the famous Big Brother. We did that twice. And yeah, it worked out in a way.
I was going to get to that.
Oh my God, please don't. But yeah. It was a very interesting experience for us, but it helped us build a lot of brand equity. A lot of older folks learned about what Piggyvest is because it was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It was not just the Abeg, it was Abeg and Piggyvest, right? So we had the opportunity to roll out Piggyvest ads at the same time for the cost of 1 sponsorship. So that was very interesting for us. So we tried out offline, and then that's when we started to do billboards to see how all of that went. And it was good until we decided it was time for us to go back to the drawing board and rebuild the product entirely. So a lot of what marketing is heavily product focused. We hadn't updated our apps for a very long time. Our systems had reached interesting limits. We needed to rebuild a lot of things. I'm sure a lot of people had interest issues or autosave issues. Those were scale problems. So we had to literally go back. So I completely paused all forms of marketing. I don't think we've done any major marketing for the last 1 year. That was very deliberate, just so we could focus on rebuilding the entire product and reimagining what we wanted to do. So it was a lot of collaborative effort within all teams, product engineering, marketing, operations. It took us almost a year to rebuild the app. It's a lot of work. And we're not just building for now, we're trying to build for the next 20 million users. So it was important for us to step back and get some things right. I think we're there. We're there now. We have an app update that we can be proud to even announce. Since we released the app, I'm not sure we've made any announcements that we have a new app because we've been fine-tuning a lot of things. But I think now we can go to market. So from next year, you're going to start to see some efforts, like marketing efforts, from Piggyvest. But yeah, that's the journey.
Okay, so like all you've said now have me wanting to ask you so many questions. But let's go back first to like the abeg part, right? Considering the kind of success that you say that you had with abeg, do you think that more companies should explore traditional marketing, like with TVs and billboards and all that? Or do you think that there's certain factors that should help them to define when exactly they should? And if you think so, what are those factors?
Offline is expensive, very expensive. I would only recommend it if you can afford to do it. But if you cannot afford to do it, you need to build a lot of momentum online first. It's a very low-hanging fruit. It can be free sometimes if you make a viral tweet. Yeah. So, yes, I was saying offline is expensive, but if you can absolutely afford to do it, then do it. For us, it was interesting because we're curious about some things. We wanted a rush, sort of, when we did Big Brother, for instance. We wanted a rush because we're trying to build an entire financial ecosystem where we understand how you save, how you invest, and how you spend. So we wanted people to quickly understand that, abeg was like the spending part of it. We're very curious, and then we experimented on that, and it worked out quite well the first time. But then the second time, we realized that we needed to change the name because it had very limiting factors. So yeah, I would say try it out if you can afford it. Just know that it's an investment. So you cannot really measure offline marketing immediately. And not a lot of companies have the patience to wait for the return on investment on an offline marketing campaign. But if your company has that patience to invest and wait, then sure, it's always worth it. But it doesn't always convert. It's almost like a reminder medium. You put up a billboard, they're not going to download your app because they saw your billboard. No. They're not going to download your app because you did Big Brother. No. They would download your app very faster when their friend tells them about it or when they see what someone has done, with the app, right? So all of those mediums are very interesting, but I see them more as just reminder mediums. Oh, we're here, right? The main call to action is with the product, with how are you talking about the experience? People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So how are you explaining the why? Why does your product need to exist, right? How are you communicating how your product has worked well for this kind of customer, that kind of customer. I would try to do something very interesting with our Saver of the Month. Saver of the Month is, interesting stuff, but we try to show different categories of people who use the platform. So sometimes you can see us, the Saver of the Month can be a family, the Saver of the Month can be a student, the Saver of the Month can be, I don't know, a business person, right? So again, just showing you that no matter who you are, these are some of the people who are like you that use this product for these purposes, and you could literally listen to them. And because you've heard about this before, you've seen an ad, you've watched it on Big Brother, so you're most likely to trust this company. People don't necessarily make a decision the first time they see you. Sometimes they do. A lot of people do, but they don't always do. So you have to, try to use all of those channels to make sure that you're getting your conversion. Again, if you can afford it.
Thank you so much. All right. You mentioned something about word of mouth, right? Sometimes brands try to make the most of word of mouth marketing by using influencers who have communities that, of people who trust them, fans, Big Brother celebrities or Twitter celebrities. How does Piggyvest feel about influencer marketing? And also, how do you balance that, like marketing via influencers with trust building?
In the beginning, I wasn't a big fan of big influencers. I just felt like it's just too much. I'd rather micro influencers or nano influencers or even regular people, right? For us, we wanted every single user to be an influencer, right? So we, again, like I said, make sure the experience is great, because even whether paid or not, that person has the opportunity to tell at least 100 people about your product. Whether they tweet about it, whether they put out a post on Instagram about it, there's always an opportunity for that one person to tell 100 people. So, however, you need to be able to make sure that person's experience is wholesome. I think with influencer marketing, for us now, it's more of trying to reach certain niches, right? For instance, if I'm trying to target young moms, for instance, right? My marketing, whatever I do, might not be able to get to them, but there's a young mom that has a community of, people she's been talking to about her journey, to motherhood, and they believe her and trust her. Yes, I would, try to tap into that audience, But again, the way I'll do it will be in a way that connects directly to the product, right? Not just, I don't know. It's always tied to the product. Like you have to do something. So I think it's just recently that we're starting to explore. We haven't officially started exploring influencer marketing, but we will soon, just because we're trying to tap into some very interesting niche audiences.
So for you, it's not just about like how many followers they have. It's about the people that actually listen and trust them, like the people you're targeting.
Mostly micro and nano guys, people with less than 10K followers, 50K followers, not too many, but you know that you can look at the activity on social media and you know that people listen and trust them. Yeah.
Okay, so now about. Okay, so I think we're almost out of time. So I'm going to ask you just two more questions, right? So, no company is like impervious to crisis. No company is immune to crisis. Like, what strategies do you as a company have to manage, a crisis situation that may come up in the future? And how do you think other companies or fintech should approach crisis management online?
So a very interesting example happened just a few days back when a blog, or rather a media platform, decided to put out something fake about neobanks and being delisted and stuff. It's very annoying, you know. I don't, I, we just don't have enough time to chase those people with lawsuits. Sometimes you're too busy doing a lot of things that you don't have time to do that. But it's very, very annoying. And you always have to own your narrative. Owning your narrative is very important. I think that's something that we've been consistent with doing. There's always one unnecessary rumor or the other with Piggyvest every other day. But sometimes it's important to just own the narrative. Like, when those rumors happen, what happens is a lot of people have questions that are unanswered in their minds about your product. So you have to find very interesting ways to answer those questions, right? I'm not going to say how we do it, but you just have to find ways to answer the questions you think people have. Sometimes people are trying to find out, can Piggyvest, is it sustainable? So you're talking to them about how you make money in a video. You get, so you have to own your narrative. And I think that's something a lot of startups should try to do. Because if you let people put out or talk about you in ways that you don't like and you allow that fester, it becomes a narrative, all right? It becomes truth, and you don't want that. And again, that's even something I learned very recently. You have to really just own your narrative. You have to come out and say it, like put information out there in very interesting ways that make people understand who you are or answer the questions that people have about your company.
All right, that's it. Thank you so much, Josh. And thank you all for listening. We're done.